Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
James Coburn was an American actor whose career spanned over 4 decades and encompassed film, television, and voice work. Known for his rugged looks, distinctive voice, and cool charisma, Coburn became a defining presence in American cinema, particularly during the 1960s and 1970s. Early life and career. James Harrison Coburn III was born on August 31, 1928, in Laurel, Nebraska. He studied acting at Los Angeles City College and later at the University of Southern California, before attending acting classes at the famed Stella Adler Conservatory in New York. He broke into film with a small role in Ride Lonesome, 1959, and soon gained notice for his supporting role in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, alongside Steve McQueen and Brynner. Rise to fame. Coburn quickly became a staple of action and Western films. His lanky frame, chiseled features, and laconic delivery made him ideal for stoic, mysterious characters. Throughout the 1960s, he starred in numerous genre films, including The Great Escape, 1963, a World War II classic; Charade, 1963, a stylish mystery thriller; Our Man Flint, 1966, and its sequel, In Like Flint, 1967, spy spoof comedies that cemented his status as a suave leading man. These roles established Coburn as a kind of American James Bond. Self-assured, ironic, and effortlessly cool. Personal challenges and reinvention. During the 1970s, Coburn's film output slowed due to a debilitating form of arthritis. The condition caused him severe pain and limited his mobility, leading him to explore alternative therapies. In the 1990s, he credited sulfur-based supplements for his recovery, allowing him to return to acting in a more prominent way. Oscar win and late career recognition. After years of being a cult favorite and dependable supporting player, Coburn finally won widespread critical acclaim with an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role in Affliction, 1997, where he played a harsh, alcoholic father opposite Nick Nolte. It was a raw, powerful performance that showed the full depth of his dramatic ability. In his later years, he lent his voice to animated features like Monsters, Inc., 2001, and appeared in films like Payback, 1999, and Snow Dogs, 2002. Death and legacy. James Coburn died of a heart attack on November 18, 2002, at the age of 74. He left behind a legacy as one of Hollywood's quintessential tough guys, an actor who could be both understated and commanding, funny and fearsome. Legacy in pop culture. Coburn's image, tall, silver-haired, with a sardonic grin, remains iconic. Quentin Tarantino has cited him as an influence, and he's frequently mentioned alongside Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, and Clint Eastwood as part of the era's cool male leads. Despite not always being in the spotlight, Coburn's contributions to film are lasting and revered by fans of classic American cinema. James Coburn, the cool rebel of classic Hollywood, a distinctive presence. James Coburn stood apart from many of his contemporaries. He wasn't the conventional Hollywood leading man. He was lean, angular, and carried a kind of philosophical detachment in his roles. With a face carved in stone and a voice like gravel soaked in whiskey, he brought a combination of grace and menace to the screen. Whether in westerns, thrillers, or offbeat comedies, he exuded a natural cool. Compass career overview. The 1960s, icon of the western and spy genres, Coburn became an essential figure in the western genre, making his mark in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, as Brit, the knife-throwing gunman, Coburn gave a memorable performance with minimal dialogue. Hell is for Heroes, 1962, and Major Dundee, 1965, he held his own alongside Steve McQueen and Charlton Heston. In the mid to late 60s, Coburn leaned into pop culture with a pair of spy spoofs. Our Man Flint, 1966, as Derek Flint, a parody of James Bond, Coburn brought satire, intelligence, and physical grace. In Like Flint, 1967, the sequel enhanced his status as a countercultural icon. These films cemented him as a symbol of 60s male cool, equal parts playboy, martial artist, and philosopher. The 1970s, experimentation and collaboration. Coburn continued his rise with serious and unconventional roles. Duck. You Sucker. 1971, a Sergio Leone spaghetti western where Coburn played an Irish explosives expert during the Mexican Revolution. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, 1973, directed by Sam Peckinpah. This revisionist western cast Coburn as a brooding lawman haunted by his own compromises. He had a strong working relationship with Peckinpah, sharing the director's cynicism and rebellious attitude toward American mythology and authority. During this time, Coburn also pursued Eastern philosophy and martial arts, becoming close friends with Bruce Lee, who trained him in Jeet Kune Do. Coburn's lifelong interest in Eastern thought would later inform his calm, deliberate acting style. Martial arts uniform. Bruce Lee and Eastern influence. Coburn wasn't just a friend of Bruce Lee, he was one of Lee's most serious pupils and admirers. After Lee's death in 1973, Coburn helped produce the posthumous documentary, Bruce Lee, The Legend, 1984. Their bond was spiritual as well as physical. Both believed in the philosophy of simplicity, authenticity, and fluidity, traits that Coburn quietly brought to his performances. Fire the Lost Years and Return. In the 1980s, Coburn's acting career slowed dramatically due to severe rheumatoid arthritis. The disease caused visible deformities in his hands and intense pain. For years, he could only take minor parts. But he experienced a late career resurgence in the 1990s. Affliction, 1997. His role as the monstrous, abusive father of Nick Nolte's character earned him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. His acceptance speech was brief, humble, and filled with the wisdom of a survivor. Maverick, 1994, Eraser, 1996, Payback, 1999, he returned to mainstream films, often as the elder authority or corrupt patriarch. Mic voice work and final years. Coburn's unmistakable voice was ideal for narration and voice acting. His final notable role was voicing Henry J. Waternoose III in Pixar's Monsters, Inc. 2001, a villain cloaked in corporate charm and menace. He died in 2002 of a heart attack, still working, still memorable. Brain legacy and cultural significance. James Coburn never quite fit into the traditional Hollywood mold. He wasn't always the lead, and rarely the showiest actor on screen, but he brought an aura of self-possession, intelligence, and style. He was the type of actor who made every line, every stare, every pause count. Key traits. Minimalist acting. Like Steve McQueen, he understood the power of stillness. Cool under pressure. His characters rarely panicked, they outthought their enemies. Icon of masculinity. But never in a loud or overly assertive way, Coburn represented the quiet, confident man who didn't need to prove anything. He remains a cult favorite, cited by directors like Quentin Tarantino and actors such as Jeff Bridges as an underrated master. Clapperboard selected filmography. Highlights. Year film role 1960 The Magnificent Seven Brit 1963 The Great Escape Louis Sedgwick 1966 Our Man Flint Derek Flint 1971 Duck, You Sucker. John Mallory 1973, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett 1994, Maverick Commodore Duvall 1997, Affliction, Glenn Whitehouse, Oscar-winning, 2001, Monsters, Inc. Henry J. Waternoose, voice. Inner life and philosophy. James Coburn was never just a tough guy or a Hollywood playboy. Beneath the surface was a man deeply interested in Eastern philosophy, metaphysics, and personal transformation. High-voltage influences, Taoism and Zen Buddhism. Coburn frequently spoke about the importance of balance, emptiness, and non-resistance. He admired simplicity and flow, qualities he also saw in Bruce Lee. Martial arts. A devoted student of Jeet Kune Do, Coburn didn't just practice martial arts for show. He internalized its principles, adaptiveness, spontaneity, and economy of motion, core tenets that showed in his acting style. Alternative healing. Faced with crippling rheumatoid arthritis in the 1980s, Coburn turned to holistic and alternative treatments, including magnet therapy and supplements like MSM, methylsulfonylmethane. He claimed these changed his life and restored his ability to work. Coburn believed in self-reliance, not just physically, but spiritually. He distrusted rigid systems, both in acting and in life. Person in suit, levitating style and persona. James Coburn didn't just act cool, he embodied cool. His fashion and demeanor help shape what we think of as American elegance with an edge. Style icons. Coburn was often photographed by high-fashion photographers like Terry O'Neill. He wore tailored suits, turtlenecks, and aviators with a kind of natural, unstudied elegance. The smile, his wide, toothy grin, part sneer, part joy, was one of the most recognizable in Hollywood. Roger Ebert once noted that Coburn's grin could either welcome you into a party or warn you to leave it. He was the midpoint between James Bond and Steve McQueen, brainy, stylish, dangerous, but laid back. People holding hands, collaborations and relationships. Handshake. Bruce Lee. Their friendship was more than celebrity camaraderie. Bruce Lee called Coburn one of his closest Western friends. They trained together, traveled, and spoke often about philosophy and cinema. Coburn had plans to co-star in The Silent Flute, an unmade Lee project, showing how deep their artistic ambitions ran. Clapperboard. Sam Peckinpah. Peckinpah and Coburn were kindred spirits, men disillusioned by American myths but fascinated by their collapse. Coburn directed a documentary about Sam Peckinpah, titled Sam Peckinpah, Man of Iron, which aired on PBS in 1993. It's a revealing look into how Coburn admired filmmakers who questioned authority and convention. Office worker Steve McQueen. While not close friends, Coburn and McQueen's careers ran parallel. They both shared the screen in The Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape, and both men were avatars of masculine minimalism. Coburn lacked McQueen's fame, but he had a deeper range in terms of wit and subversion. DNA. The cool actor's actor. James Coburn was highly respected among actors. Not always by critics or producers, but by the people who worked with him. He wasn't a method actor, but he brought something very specific to his performances: unforced intensity. You couldn't catch him trying to act. He simply was. Acting is like jazz, improvisation, rhythm, and listening. You just go where the music tells you. Coburn on his technique. Coburn's underacting was revolutionary. In an era of melodrama and theatricality, his ability to convey danger or depth with a single look was ahead of its time. United States masculinity reimagined. Throughout his career, Coburn embodied the evolving American male. 1960s, suave, cool, worldly, the jet-set spy and Western gunslinger. 1970s, weathered, skeptical, philosophical, Men dealing with lost causes and moral ambiguity. 1990s. Wounded patriarchs and elders, both dangerous and wise. Unlike John Wayne or even Clint Eastwood, Coburn never seemed married to a single image of masculinity. He could be tender, funny, villainous, or broken. He redefined tough as someone self-aware, even spiritual. Face mask. Why Coburn endures. James Coburn is a cult figure today for good reason. He never overexposed himself. He didn't seek fame for its own sake. He aged with grace and didn't pretend to be young forever. He brought physicality, intellect, and soul into roles that were often written as cliches. He is remembered for voice, as gravelly and smooth as aged bourbon. Look, the white hair, the perfect teeth, the sly smile. Presence, always calm in the storm, whether playing a spy, a killer, or a father unraveling from his own demons. Final words. James Coburn died on November 18, 2002, at his Beverly Hills home. He was watching TV with his wife when he suffered a heart attack. Quietly. Without fanfare, just the way he lived most of his life. He left behind not just a filmography, but a style of being. Unbothered by the rules of the industry, deeply interested in the world. Coburn's real performance was always as himself, an actor who didn't need to shout to be heard. Deep cuts, underrated performances. While best known for hits like The Magnificent Seven and Our Man Flint, some of Coburn's most interesting work flew under the radar. These films reveal his subtlety, range, and risk-taking. 1. The President's Analyst, 1967, a satirical, psychedelic political thriller where Coburn plays a psychiatrist recruited to treat the President of the United States, only to be hunted by multiple spy agencies. It's a wild, trippy performance that combines comedy, paranoia, and commentary on the growing surveillance state. Coburn is both suave and neurotic, playing against type with brilliance. 2. A High Wind in Jamaica, 1965, a strange, dreamy tale about children kidnapped by pirates. Coburn plays a conflicted pirate captain, equal parts danger and reluctant caretaker. It's a great showcase of his ability to convey internal conflict with almost no dialogue. 3. Cross of Iron, 1977, another Sam Peckinpah collaboration. Coburn plays a disillusioned German sergeant on the Eastern Front in World War II. His performance is raw and tragic, a scathing critique of military honor and nationalist pride. It's one of the most philosophical war films ever made, and Coburn is its tortured soul. 4. Duffy, 1968, a sexy, mod-era heist movie. Coburn is all long hair, white suits, and beatnik cool. A strange but fascinating time capsule where he plays a sort of countercultural Robin Hood. Dove spirituality and Eastern wisdom. James Coburn was deeply spiritual, not in a religious sense, but in a way that embraced mystery, inner calm, and the limits of human knowledge. His worldview was shaped by Taoism, knowing others as intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom, was a line he often paraphrased in interviews. Zen practice, he admired stillness, emptiness, and acting as a kind of meditation. His ability to underact, to just be, came directly from this ethos. Martial arts as a life discipline. Jeet Kune Do wasn't a hobby. It was, for Coburn, a tool of personal mastery. Like Bruce Lee, he believed in no way is way. The less I try, the better it gets. That's Zen. That's acting. James Coburn film frames the Coburn archetype. A lost type of leading man. Hollywood doesn't really make men like James Coburn anymore. He was part of a generation of actors who were tough but curious. He could kill you with a glance. Then quote Lao Tzu. Cool without ego, his confidence was interior, not performative. Masculine but complex, he could play ruthless killers and damaged fathers, yet never seemed like a stereotype. Resilient without vanity, he aged into his roles without trying to recapture youth or play action heroes past their prime. In today's landscape of hyper-polished leading men, Coburn's lived-in masculinity and philosophical weight feel increasingly rare. Film legacy. Influence on today's cinema. Modern filmmakers constantly echo Coburn's influence. Whether consciously or not, his fingerprints are on characters like the stoic assassins of John Wick, the aging cowboys in Taylor Sheridan's work, the hyper-cool spies in the Kingsman films, the brutal, self-aware anti-heroes of Tarantino's universe. Coburn's restraint, irony, and sense of cool paved the way for actors like Jeff Bridges, Sam Elliott, Viggo Mortensen, and even Keanu Reeves, men who act from the inside out. Headstone. Final years and quiet exit. Coburn never made a spectacle of himself in the tabloids. In the final decade of his life, he took on supporting roles, lent his voice to Pixar, and won his Oscar with grace, not vengeance. He saw the award as recognition for a body of work, not a prize to validate him. When he died in 2002, the industry mourned him quietly. There was no scandal, no posthumous controversy, just quiet reverence from peers and fans. James Coburn exited the world the same way he moved through it, silently, powerfully, and on his own terms. Mirror ball quotes and vibe. Here are a few real and attributed quotes that sum up his essence. I have always believed that less is more. Let the audience meet you halfway. I don't act, I react. You listen, you breathe, you believe. Bruce Lee said, "Be like water." So I tried to act like water. Clear, still, deep. Receipt summary. What made James Coburn special? Trait description: voice gravelly, charismatic, unique, instantly recognizable. Acting style: minimalist. Physical, zen-like, always in control. Genres: westerns, thrillers, comedies, political satire, war films. Philosophy: Taoist, self-reliant, mystical. Believed in energy, rhythm, and inner calm. Legacy: a template for complex masculinity and silent power in modern acting. Voice as power. Coburn the narrator. Coburn's voice was its own character, rich, weathered, authoritative, hypnotic. It was no surprise that in his later years, he found consistent work as a voice actor and narrator. Notable voice performances: Henry J. Waternoose III in Monsters, Inc., 2001, his final major role. What made the character chilling wasn't what he did, but how Coburn spoke, corporate menace wrapped in grandfatherly warmth. Documentary narration. Coburn narrated numerous documentaries and television specials, including The American West of John Ford, 1971, and Nature or War series on PBS and the History Channel. Commercials. He lent his voice to Jaguar, Schlitz beer, and other brands seeking cool with gravitas. You believed him even when he was selling luxury cars or beer, because he sounded like a man who knew things. Firecracker counterculture connections. Coburn the quiet revolutionary. Though not typically thought of as a political figure, James Coburn's career and personal beliefs aligned him with the counterculture, just not in the loud, placard-waving way. How he aligned with the times, challenged American myths. In Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid and Cross of Iron, he helped deconstruct the romanticism of war and the frontier. Spoke out against the studio system. Coburn wasn't a company man. He often chose small, foreign, or independent productions over big paychecks. He valued integrity over visibility. Personal libertarianism. He distrusted authority and institutions, whether government or Hollywood. In many ways, he prefigured the modern antihero, cool, competent, detached, moral on his own terms. Face mask Coburn, the character actor in A Leading Man's Body. James Coburn was one of the few actors who could effortlessly shift between leading man and character actor. In Hollywood, that's rare, and it made him both essential and, paradoxically, hard to categorize. In The Magnificent Seven, he says almost nothing, yet steals every scene. In Affliction, he dominates the film with sheer psychological weight, playing a violent, unrepentant father whose sins echo across generations. In movies like Hudson Hawk or Eraser, he plays high-level villains without chewing scenery. He radiates danger like it's a birthright. The takeaway: he didn't beg for your attention. He just stood still and let the world revolve around him. Clapperboard Coburn in Hollywood politics. An outsider in the system, though he was a major player in 1960s and 70s cinema, Coburn never ingratiated himself with the Hollywood elite. He wasn't part of the studio cliques, nor did he play into publicity games. Oscar politics. He was nominated only once, for Affliction, and won. But it wasn't a career Oscar. It was for a brutal, brilliant performance. Even in his 60s, he was delivering complex, fearless work. Refusal to be typecast. Coburn didn't get trapped in his own image. He could play cowboy, spy, mystic, madman, or bureaucrat. Hollywood didn't always know what to do with that range. Champion of artistic integrity, he preferred working with auteurs like Peckinpah, Sergio Leone, and even first-time directors if the script felt right. He believed in cinema as a personal, not corporate, art form. Candle symbolism. What Coburn represented. Coburn was more than a man. He was a symbol of freedom, clarity, danger, and personal truth. What Clint Eastwood was to moral ambiguity, Coburn was to stoic clarity. He could seem menacing or peaceful, but never lost.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.